The emergency alarm screamed through the empty corridors of Castellano. Ventures like banshees announcing the apocalypse. Diana Castellano stood frozen in her. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of small moments to change lives, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness True Stories. Also, tell us in the comments where in the world are you watching from. Executive office on the 42nd floor. Her perfectly manicured fingers trembling as she watched her empire crumble in real time across 6 massive monitors. Red warnings cascaded down the screens like digital blood. Each notification another wound in her carefully constructed fortress. Files were vanishing. Security protocols were failing. The Singapore deal, 15 years of negotiations, partnerships, and strategic positioning worth $1.7 billion, was 3 minutes from automatic cancellation due to missing verification documents that had somehow been erased from every backup server. Her reflection in the darkened window showed a woman who had built kingdoms from nothing, who had crushed competitors with a single phone call, who had never, not once in 20 years, experienced the cold taste of defeat. Until tonight, Diana's fingers flew across her keyboard, attempting manual overrides that her systems rejected like a body rejecting poison. She called her head of IT security, no answer. She called her CTO, voicemail. She called the backup team in Mumbai. Deadline. Someone had planned this perfectly, timing the attack for 2:47 a.m., when her building held only skeleton, security staff and cleaning crews. The irony wasn't lost on her. She had stayed late because she never trusted anyone else to handle the final preparations for tomorrow's signing ceremony. Now that very dedication had isolated her in her moment of greatest crisis. The countdown timer on her screen showed 2 minutes and 18 seconds before the Singapore investors' automated system would interpret the missing documents as a breach of contract and withdraw permanently. 2 minutes before everything she had sacrificed for, missed birthdays, abandoned relationships, her own father's funeral, would mean absolutely nothing. That's when she heard the cart, the unmistakable squeak of wheels that needed oiling, accompanied by the soft swish of a mop bucket. Diana's head snapped toward her office door, which she'd left open in her panic. Through the glass walls separating her office from the executive floor, she saw him, a janitor in a faded grey uniform, pushing his cleaning cart with methodical precision, seemingly oblivious to the digital catastrophe unfolding mere feet away. Rage boiled in her chest. How dare someone continue their mundane routine while her world collapsed? She was about to scream at him to get out when he did something unexpected. He stopped, his head tilted slightly, eyes fixing on the massive monitors visible through her office wall. Then he moved. Not away, but toward her office with purpose. That seemed entirely wrong for a nighttime janitor. Diana's hand instinctively moved toward the panic button under her. Desk security protocols, drilled into her since her first death threat 5 years ago, but something in his expression stopped her. There was no threat in his eyes, only recognition, the kind of recognition that sent chills down her spine because it suggested he understood exactly what he was seeing on those screens. He appeared in her doorway without knocking, without hesitation, his dark eyes scanning the monitors with the rapid assessment of someone who had seen this before. "This is a cyberattack," he said simply, his voice carrying none of the deference she was accustomed to from service staff. "Ransomware variant, custom-built, probably targeting your authentication servers. First to prevent recovery protocols." Diana's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Who was this man? The janitor, his name tag read Marcus Cole, stepped fully into her office, his gaze never leaving the screens. "You have about 90 seconds before your Singapore deal auto-cancels. May I?" He gestured toward her keyboard. Every business instinct Diana possessed screamed at her to refuse. This could be the attack itself, a social engineering ploy to gain direct access to her systems. But those same instincts also recognized expertise when she saw it. And the way this man read, her screen spoke of knowledge far beyond typical IT support. She stepped aside, Marcus moved to her keyboard with the confidence of someone returning home. His fingers began typing commands that flew past too quickly for Diana to fully process, accessing system layers she didn't even know existed in her own company's infrastructure. "Who are you?" Diana finally managed, watching him work with a precision that contradicted everything about his janitor's uniform and cleaning. "Cart abandoned in the hallway." "Right now, I'm someone trying to save your company," Marcus replied, not looking up. "Explanations can wait. Your attackers used a zero-day exploit in your document management system. They've been inside your network for at least 3 weeks, mapping everything, waiting for the perfect moment." His words hit Diana like physical blows. 3 weeks. While she'd been celebrating preliminary success, someone had been preparing her destruction. "There," Marcus said, and suddenly one of her monitors shifted from red to amber. "I've rerouted your authentication through a parallel system they didn't know about because it's technically deprecated. Not elegant, but functional." The countdown showed 41 seconds. Diana's heart hammered against her ribs. "The documents are gone from the primary servers, yes, but every system has shadows. Fragments in cache memory, temporary files, redundant data streams." Marcus's fingers flew faster. "Your IT team follows best practices, which made them predictable. I'm betting your attackers expected the same. But if we can reconstruct even partial documents from residual data and push them through before the deadline, 23 seconds. A new window opened on screen, showing fragments of text, contract clauses, signature blocks, all scrambled and incomplete. Marcus began a process Diana didn't understand, pulling pieces from different sources, using some kind of algorithm to pattern match and reconstruct. 15 seconds. "It won't be complete," Marcus said, and Diana's hope crumbled. Then he added, "But it'll be enough to prevent auto-cancellation and buy you time to properly recover everything." 8 seconds. He hit enter. The screens froze. Diana stopped breathing. Then, cascading like a reverse of the earlier catastrophe, the monitors began shifting from red to green. "Document verification confirmed. Contract status active. Singapore deal secured pending final review." Diana's legs gave out, and she collapsed into her leather chair, staring at the impossible salvation displayed across her screens. When she finally looked up, Marcus had stepped back from her keyboard, hands in his pockets, expression neutral. "How?" Diana whispered. "How did you know?" "How could you possibly?" "Because I built systems like this," Marcus interrupted quietly. "Before I became a janitor." The words hung in the air like a confession and a challenge. Diana Castellano hadn't become a billionaire by ignoring opportunities or failing to recognize value, regardless of packaging. She stood, smoothing her designer suit, rebuilding her composure with visible effort. "My office tomorrow, 9 a.m., or rather," she glanced at the clock showing 3:23 a.m. this morning, "and bring identification and any credentials you have." Marcus shook his head slowly. "Ms. Castellano, I appreciate the offer I assume you're about to make. But I'm not looking for a job. I have responsibilities. A daughter. Stability matters more than—" "I'm not offering you a job." Diana cut him off, her CEO voice returning in full force. "I'm demanding an explanation. Someone with your skills doesn't push a mop cart by accident. And someone just tried to destroy my company with exactly the kind of sophistication you effortlessly countered. So tomorrow, 9 a.m., you're going to tell me everything. Who you are, who you were, and why the hell a genius is cleaning floors in my building." She paused, something softening in her expression. "Please." The please clearly surprised him. Marcus studied her for a long moment, and Diana had the unsettling feeling of being evaluated by someone who saw past the billion-dollar empire to the person beneath. 9 a.m., he finally agreed. "But I leave at noon. I pick my daughter up from school." He turned to leave, then paused at the door. "And Ms. Castellano, change all your passwords. This attack may be paused, but it's not over. Whoever did this won't stop just because you survived round 1. He disappeared into the hallway, and moments later Diana heard the squeak of his cart resuming its journey. She stood alone in her office, surrounded by monitors showing her salvaged empire, and realized that everything she thought she knew about control, power, and the people invisible beneath her notice had just been fundamentally challenged. Diana pulled out her phone and began making calls. Her head of security answered on the first ring, instantly alert. "I want everything on Marcus Cole, Janitor, night shift. Employment records, background check, everything we have. And I want it before 9 a.m. As dawn began painting the city skyline beyond her windows, Diana Castellano prepared for a meeting that might prove more important than any corporate negotiation. Because somewhere in her building, a man with world-class cyber skills was mopping floors and raising a daughter alone. And she had the distinct feeling that understanding why would matter more than the $1 billion he'd just saved. The Singapore deal was secure. Her company had survived. But for the first time in 20 years, Diana wondered if she'd been measuring success by the wrong metrics all along. By the time Marcus Cole arrived at 9 a.m., in clean jeans and a worn button-down shirt, his daughter's photo visible in his wallet, Diana had already made 3 decisions that would change both their lives. She just didn't know yet that saving her company was the smallest thing this single father would teach her about what truly mattered. And the cyber attack he'd stopped? It was only the beginning of a conspiracy that would force a billionaire and a janitor to trust each other with far more than money or code. But that's a story that would unfold in the days to come, starting with a simple question. Diana would ask that would crack open Marcus Cole's carefully guarded past and reveal why the most brilliant security architect of his generation had chosen to disappear into the invisible world of night shift cleaning crews. If this story touched your heart and reminded you that value exists in unexpected places and people, please like, share, and subscribe to Kindness True Stories. Every story we share celebrates the extraordinary humans hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone to truly see them. Join our community and never miss a tale of redemption, hope, and the surprising connections that change everything.